What's up with your butt up? What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel and welcome to your favorite with your messy self story time. No, what's up? What's today? Like, where's your bestie at? Because your bestie would never wear anything Denver Broncos or Denver Nuggets. Why am I wearing a jersey? Y'all know good and damn well I don't be watching basketball. I'm being a fake fan today and wearing a Nuggets jersey for our podcast because, as y'all know by now, Denver Nuggets are NBA champions and we had a parade today. Did we go? No. David still wanted to wear some Nuggets attire for our podcast, so what y'all think? Does it suit your girl? What y'all think? What's up? What's up? How y'all been? I hope you guys have been doing well. Today I have a story time that I think is going to resonate with a lot of y'all. I have my fair share of Karens. I told you guys a few of my personal experiences, especially working at Target, but girl, you ain't seen no Karens until you work at none other than Ross. Dress for less. I think the term Karen can mean a lot of things just depending on like personal opinion. But a Karen to me is just somebody who's unnecessarily like nosy or rude. Now I use this term Karen loosely for this person that I'm about to tell you guys about. Overall, she was just rude. Without further ado, grab your wine, snacks, everything you need, buckle in, girl, and let's talk the joys of working retail. I worked at Ross for a good minute. When I was in high school, sort of out of high school, back in high school, I was trying to figure my shit out. Girl, I ain't even gonna lie, I was making pennies on the dollar, okay? I straight up, if I remember correctly, I was making like $6 and some change. I rode the bus to and from there, but this was like one of my first like jobs outside of my like internships. Now, as most of you guys know that have been with me for a while, this is also the same Ross that, you know, Robert's funky ass and that whole thing happened. The actual manager though, he was like definitely super creepy. He had like this weird thing with like, and I didn't notice it at the time, but he definitely let me have a lot of privileges, and so I started using that to my benefit. The more I worked there, and that's how I was like finding loopholes, but until then, but the assistant manager, she was not playing that. Like, she needed everybody to be working, going every single second of the day. She didn't like seeing you standing around. Girl, one time she saw me like, you know, not standing around, but like I wasn't like actively doing anything, okay? I was just surveying. I was doing surveillance. She was like, Nikki, are you bored? And I was like, no. And I know how to answer that question because my mom used to ask me that question. If I said yes, like I'm bored, she would like have me, you know, scrubbing baseboards. So I was like, no, I'm not bored. I'm busy. And she was like, doesn't really look like it. Follow me. Y'all, she had me completely remove a bunch of doormats and she had me place those suckers on this shelf, color coordinated. Have you ever color coordinated doormats? So I hated working with her. I hated being on a schedule with her because, you know, she made me actually work. Also, she was one of the managers that like if we had, you know, a customer just kind of being unruly or just being ridiculous or trying to return something that they clearly like overwore or just some, you know, stuff like that, she would always take the customer side. Even if it was against policy, even if we just went back and forth with the customer about the receipt or whatever the case may be, she would come up behind us and be like, okay, ma'am, like, it's fine. We'll just do it for her this one time. And then, like, we would have repeat people doing that because they knew that the assistant manager just didn't want to mess with them or even just, like, fuss about it. So she would just be like, yeah, just give them what they want. And everybody here knows when you have a pushover manager like that, it really does not make your job easier. Not at all. So I really could not stand her for multiple reasons, okay? There was a point in time where our manager was going to be on vacation or something. He was gonna be gone for an extended period of time. So Miss Assistant Manager was gonna be like managing for the next 2 weeks or something like that. And legit, girl, it was the talk of town. Everybody was not happy about it. We were all upset. We were all talking shit. We were all talking about, ooh, I'm about to take the whole week off. I can't. But you know, we all needed money because we were broke as hell. It just so happened that when he's gone and she's like managing us, we have this huge turnover. And the turnover days are like when we have to take the old stuff off the floor and we have a huge delivery and we have new products to put out and it's literally turning the entire store over, rearranging the different racks. Girl, it's a whole thing. I had my share of just ridiculous customers, okay? Ladies that wanted an exponential, like over 60% off for like a tiny little chip of paint on a mug, or, you know, requesting that we get specific dog bed size because she has a specific breed and we are discriminatory against larger dogs because we don't carry large dog beds. Or like, some people don't understand how Ross works. Like, you get what you get. There isn't like racks full of a bunch of the same of one thing. Does that make sense? So we would have customers come in that didn't understand that concept, and they're like, yeah, I bought these jeans and, you know, like 2 weeks ago, and I'm looking for the exact same jeans. I want to get like 2 or 3 pair. And I'm like, I'm sorry. No, we had like 4 of those total. That kind of stuff. You know, people try to steal in the fitting rooms. Wait, hold on. I think the worst, girl, I almost quit. As God is my witness, I almost quit. Because one time, if you ever get told to watch the fitting rooms, girl, do not. First of all, you got to worry about people stealing and thieving, right? And you also got to worry about, like, you know, just sketchy stuff. Bitch, I'm over here covering for my friends during her break, and I'm standing at the fitting rooms, and I go to help this lady carry her stuff into a fitting room, and I open that door, and there's Caca in the corner. Caca, human. That lady was horrified. Girl, I was sicker than a dog. I was like, ugh. That was probably the worst thing that I had experienced. And honestly, I think that still takes the cake. But one day comes around, girl, we're hella busy. I was usually like a floor gal. You know, I had to put like shit back on the floor and the racks and make sure that, you know, all the stuff that y'all inevitably drop on the floor because somehow, I don't know, half the population forgets how hangers work. Yeah, the person that was picking that stuff up, me. Had to be pulled out of my element, and I hated dealing with people, so I hated being a cashier. I'm just gonna be so honest with you. Of course, here comes my assistant manager, Nikki, we need you up front at the cash register. And I was like, I got a huge, every single one of us has a huge line. We got returns. We got people that are in our lines that are supposed to be in the return line. And, you know, just, girl, I had this lady, and right before this happened, I have this lady come up to me. She gets an attitude because she waited in the wrong line when it clearly says the return line, and I can't do returns here. So she's like yabbering on, and I have to get my assistant manager, and the assistant manager walks away with her, right? As the assistant manager is walking away with this customer, I, you know, wave over the next customer, and it's this lady, and she's got like 3 or 4 teenage girls with her, okay? And all the girls are surrounding her, and she's in the middle of them, and they seem to be in the middle of a pretty in-depth conversation. And she's kind of like turned halfway this way, and she's like, yeah, that's what I was saying, and da-da-da. And, you know, she's walking up, and she sees me, and, you know, she walks up, and she's still talking, and she was like, yeah, you know, like, just for shits and gigs, like, yeah, that's what I was telling her. I got the invitation, and, you know, like, I didn't understand. And right, isn't that what that seemed like? And she's putting everything on the counter as she's speaking, and, you know, she's in the middle of a conversation, okay? So what do? Okay. Beep. 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 So you just ain't gonna say hi to me? Like, really? That's how we're gonna do this? I'm sorry? I've been standing here, and I know you see me, and I know you see all my girls here, and you're for real. You're not even gonna say hello. How are you? How's your day? You're not even gonna say not word one to me? Okay, let's reel it in. Ma'am, I'm so sorry. I don't ever want to be perceived as rude. So I was like, I am so sorry. I did not mean to, you know, ignore you or make you feel ignored. I just felt like you were in the middle of a conversation. Girl, she cut me off. Oh, it doesn't matter if I was in the middle of a conversation. Your job is to greet the customers, and you were being very rude. You didn't even say anything. We've been standing here. Like, you're supposed to provide a service. Beep. Beep. Yes, I understand, ma'am. I'm so sorry. Beep. I'm not about to stop. Like, we've been through this, okay? I already apologized. Beep. We gotta move on. Beep. So I start making friendly conversation with her, right? And everything that I'm saying, she's so pissy because she feels like I ignored her that she's giving me really petty responses. So I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, how was your day? And she was like, well, good until I met you. Beep. I know you lying. Beep. Okay, ma'am, I'm sorry. Beep. At this point, she's like doing this. Like, okay, like, keep it coming. Like, she wanted me to be interactive in a conversation with her. And she was like trying to prove a point. And I'm like, I don't know. And at this point, all the teenagers around her, they're all staring at me too. And I'm like, okay, so y'all don't have anything to talk about? I'm so confused. Like, I wasn't trying to be rude, but I felt like it was ruder to just be like, hi, how's your day? While like they're in the middle of a fucking conversation. At this point, I'm realizing that I got a lot of bags filling up, and this is a huge order. And it's like clothes, shoes, belts, handbags, perfumes, home decor, towels, anything and everything that you could possibly imagine this woman had on this counter right now. And there was more coming out of her buggy, and I'm like, okay, well, I gotta make conversation now, don't I? Because it's gonna be a long time. I was shopping for something special, and girl, she gonna look at me, she was like, does it look like anything in here is for a special event? It's just normal stuff. I just don't understand why people insist that somebody be kind and polite to them if they just are waiting just to be unkind and impolite. I just, go ahead and stay quiet and keep scanning the stuff, and hopefully this goes by faster, because I don't know what else to say. I'll never forget that. I don't know why, but like this fucking What is this? What is that? Still scanning stuff, and a few of the teenagers kind of like drift off, and we have like the perfume area that's right near the front. So they go at it like a diagonal, and they're like looking around in the case. And one of the teenagers was like, Mom, they have this perfume here. Like, look, they have it. I didn't know they had it here, whatever. And the mom was like, okay, well, do you want it? And she was like, yeah. She's gonna look at me and be like, can you get that for my daughter? Or are you gonna just be rude and not get it for her too? I was like, ma'am, I'm so sorry. I don't have the key to that case, but I can't get somebody to help you with that. And she was like, oh, I'm not surprised that you can't help me. I'm not shocked. And I'm like, okay, all right, beep, beep. So, I call over one of my coworkers who did have the key, and I was like, hey, can you help this customer, please? She's interested in one of the perfumes. And she was like, I'm gonna name her. She was like, it's Grace, not this customer. Can you please help Grace get some perfume out the case for Grace? My homeboy is looking at me like, what the fuck? And I'm like, just please go. Just please go. So she points out her daughter, and she was like, she actually wants it. I'm gonna stay right here. So I was like, okay, well, you stay right here. So girl, at this point, I'm speed scanning. I'm like, I don't even want this interaction no more. I just want this to be over. So I'm like going through. And finally, I get to the tail end. I get to the end of her order, bitch. I'm getting everything bagged up. The extra large Ross bags. Yeah, girl, I'm double bagging stuff. And so I'm getting everything situated, getting stuff folded up, putting them in the bags and stuff. And I give her total. The total was over $500. It was nearly $600. It was a lot of money, I'm folding stuff up. I hear, eh. I look over at my computer, declined. Y'all, this woman is already looking me upside my head, and I'm like, oh God, of course. So I keep folding my stuff very nonchalant. I was like, I'm so sorry. Sometimes, it acts up. Would you mind trying it again? Thanks. So I keep, putting stuff in her bags, and she was like, she sticks the card in there. We'll wait a few seconds, and I'm sitting here praying, and I'm like, please go through. I think in this moment, she and I were joining together in prayer, because I just really wanted it to go through so that this interaction would be done. And I think that she was probably hoping it would go through for other reasons. So we in unison, we praying. What did that mean? What does that mean? So I print out the little receipt, because it'll tell you declined. And I was like, I'm so sorry. It's declined. It's just not going through. There must be something wrong with your machine, Okay, fine. So I was like, oh my God. Okay, so I don't want to deal with this lady anymore. Like, honestly, y'all, at this point, the line is getting so long. I have not taken this long with another customer before. Big orders, small orders, a lot of stuff, not that much stuff, didn't matter. But this was just taking exponentially long. So I was like, okay, you know what? Let me just call my assistant manager over here, and she can help you. So I called my assistant manager. There was a register literally right next to me. So she was like, you know what? Let me go ahead, and I'm going to help you over here. I'm going to slide you over here. And that way Nikki can continue to take everybody else. So she moves over. All the teenagers move over, and they're like 5 feet away from me, if that. So I take on the next customer, and I start doing my job again, and I can hear what's going on right here. Y'all, I get through 2 other customers, and this lady and her daughters are still there. She's going back and forth with my assistant manager. No, there's something wrong with your machine. After a while, it starts getting tense, and you can feel that she's starting to kind of panic. And she was like, actually, now that I'm seeing it for what it is, y'all charge me way too much for this and that. Just go ahead and take it out, because y'all just be charging me too much. And that's not what was on the shelf. She was trying to say that we mispriced things. And so, you know, my assistant manager is working with her this, and she was like, yeah, that wasn't supposed to be that expensive. Y'all be trying to, you know, play people, and y'all try to steal from people, and y'all try to like bamboozle people. And she was like, that is not what it said. Tell that my assistant manager knew exactly what was going on, so she was not playing into this. And she was like, okay, so you don't want it? And the lady was like, no. She gets a new total that's slightly less, and she slides her card again, doesn't go through. Y'all, she looks at me, I look at her, and I'm like, okay, like, you know, it ain't none of my business. But I could tell that in her mind, she was very embarrassed, because she came up here with her chest all swollen, and like, you ain't gonna say nothing to me, and like, you know, this is your job, and like, you need to learn your place, and like, that you're supposed to be greeting people and this, that, and all this attitude. But like, this seems to be a you issue, ma'am. Like, all for this to happen, you know? My assistant manager is losing patience, and she's like, ma'am, is there another form of payment? Like, do you have another card that you want to slide? Because this one is just not going through. This lady is unrelenting. And she's like, no. She was like, how about you actually help me, and like, let's figure this out, because I'm positive that you guys have stuff in here that is not priced right. And I already knew it. I'm very good at budgeting. I added this all up before even putting it into my cart. So this is on you, and you need to fix it. He goes into every bag that I just packed up, one by one, holding it up to the lady, showing her the price tag. Do you want this? Yes. Do you want that? No. Yeah. No. Okay. Do you want that? Oh, yep. This is the price. Okay. So yes. Oh, maybe not. Okay, y'all, I'm not exaggerating. And I was like, oh my God, this is too much. Everybody and a mama in there is now like giving this lady a judgy look. It's not about the fact that, you know, her card wasn't working or trying to shame her for whatever situation she might be in. It is the fact that she is insisting on making everyone around her life a lot more complicated when it doesn't need to be this way. And then on top of that, copping an attitude and not even stopping to think about the type of inconvenience that you're costing people simply because of your pride. This lady does this dance. She is there from, I'm not even exaggerating, for a whole ass, like it was nearly a half hour that she was standing there. She heads towards the front of the store where the entrance doors are. She gets on her phone. First, she looks at like the teenagers, and she was like, I'm sorry, we're not gonna be able to do this right now. And the girls look visibly upset, okay? And she's not talking to the assistant manager or anything. She's just talking to the girls, right? So the girls are like, oh, you know, like they're not being rude. They're just like disappointed and like, okay. This lady looks around, and she looks at one of these teenage girls, and she was like, Marissa, and I don't even know why you sitting up here trying to act like you're all sad. Your mom didn't even send you with no money. And so if she knew you were coming out with me, so if she didn't send you with no money, that's not my fault. I was trying to do a good thing. So I don't even know why you trying to look all sad, because I don't owe you nothing. In front of everybody, and like everybody could hear it. It's like close proximity where the Ross cash registers are, you know, it's like all clumped together. So we're all like, well, this lady sees her tear up, and it just makes her even more frustrated. She was like, oh my God, we need to go, because now you crying, and I can't have you crying out here. Come on, let's go. Hurry up. Girl, she turns around and walks out that Ross. Not one word to my assistant manager or to anybody else who worked here. Not one. Not, I'm so sorry, I need to cancel the order, I need to put everything back. Nada. Just walked out. And we all just watched her like, what? Huge ass bags full of stuff that we all had to split up at the end of the night. Yeah, that was the quickest that I had ever seen Karma work, because like the way, and I understood in that moment that the way she was talking to me wasn't just specific to me. Like when she was saying that, like, you ain't gonna say hi, she was being loud and everybody could hear it. I was afraid that I was gonna get in trouble with my managers or whatever, because she was being loud. And it turns out that evidently she does that to everybody around her. I feel like there's a time and a place for things. I feel like grace should be extended, and like instead of jumping the gun, especially when it comes to people who are there to service you, just because they are there to offer a service service, whether that's retail, whether that's with the food industry. It doesn't matter. It doesn't give you the right to disrespect them or talk down to them or act like you have any authority over them. Ma'am, that's not what this is at all. Okay, you have your job, I have mine, whatever that may be. We still need to have mutual respect. So like, that's why they say, you know, have as much respect for the CEO as you do the janitor. But working in retail really is like working as a professional punching bag for people. And people who come in that are very miserable, they tend to find their only spark of like, I don't know, like adrenaline in life is to just like go to stores and like start shit and talk down to people. And a lot of people are just hurting, and I'm so sorry. And if you are one of my girls and one of my glamazons or manazons that is currently in the industry and currently serving the public, I pray for you. I pray for patience. That day though, karma really worked out and she did not walk out with thing one. And I just... yeah, I wanted to share that story with you guys because I remember it like really upset me and I felt really embarrassed, and I hated when people talk down to me, especially, I mean, I hate it now, but I hated it especially when I was that young because I was just trying to figure things out. And one of my biggest, I wouldn't even call it pet peeves, it's like one of my, if I find this out about you, I ain't gonna like you no more type shit. When I see an older person around a younger person, whether it's an older man around a young man or an older woman around a young woman, and the older individual does not extend grace or doesn't have any inclination or any intention of teaching this young person, but would much rather just judge them, embarrass them, and make them feel bad and like laugh at them, make fun of them. Like, girl, I don't play that. Like, I don't know, you know, there's a lot generationally. I just feel like I didn't understand when I was younger why so many older women would just like treat me like that or just like talk down to me and be like, little girl, instead of just being like, hey, you know, like, this is what I'm trying to teach you. Now, if it were me in this situation and I felt like, you know, the cashier was maybe ignoring me or something, you know, I would talk to her first and be like, hey girl, how's your day? You know, especially if she's really young or she seems really shy. My whole thing is like just talking, telling stories. I would relate to her and be like, oh my God, I remember working, you know, in this area or doing this once upon a time. And it can be a little weird talking to new folks, huh? And then typically they're like, yeah, you know, I'm trying to get around it. And then I give them tips from there, like, girl, don't think about it too much. You know, they're people just like you, like just a little chit chat. That's how I would do it. Not being like, oh, so this is how you gonna act? So this is how kids are nowadays? Oh my God, miss me with that. But anyway, so don't let nobody talk to you like that. I don't care how young you are. You got a job. You are a competent human being that is worthy of respect. And don't you forget, okay? But with that being said, that is the end of my story time. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another story time here on my channel. If you're not subscribed, you already know what to do. And always remember, I love you, but God loves you more. And I will see your fine self in my next video. Peace out, y'all.